Hello, everyone. My name is Stephanie Boozer. I'm with CUGC HQ, and I am happy to welcome you to today's Connect webinar. This is our first with PolicyPak, and I'm happy to welcome them to our webinar series and excited to see what they have for us today. Before we get into it, I want to introduce our moderator. Karl Webster is a CTP fellow and a senior solutions architect, and you can follow him on Twitter at Karl Webster. He is going to keep an eye on the questions for us, so please type those in the question panel in your GoToWebinar control panel, and he'll either break in and ask them as they pop up, or we'll save some to the end. It just depends on what your question is. So with that, I'd like to turn things over to Webster to say hello and introduce our speaker today.
Well, hello, good day, and thanks for attending this webinar. I'm Webster. I have the website, karlwebster.com, the accidental Citrix admin, and some of you may be familiar with the documentation scripts I provide for free to the community. Thank you very much for using those. I'm very excited about this webinar because this Jeremy is just one smart guy. Not only is he a smart ass, but he's a very smart guy. And the PolicyPak software, I get excited about very few things in life. There's very few pieces of software that really excite me and actually make me want to put a sticker on my laptop. PolicyPak is one of those pieces of software. You really owe it to yourself to pay attention to what Jeremy is going to show you and tell you about his software. The software is awesome and will make your life as a Citrix admin or engineer or architect much easier. This is stuff you just got to try. This is Webster approved. This software has the Webster seal of approval. So with that, I'd like to introduce you to my longtime friend and group policy mentor, Jeremy Moskowitz. Jeremy, take it on.
Well, thank you very much. That was super awesome. Let me go ahead and see if I can get the first part, the screen share, to work. You guys see my big old ugly face there? Excellent. Super. That was great. I really appreciate that amazing intro. And you know what we'll do is like you're gonna be them. You're gonna have questions like they're gonna have questions. So like as questions come up in your brain, Webster, you just pop on in. I don't care where I'm at. I can be in the middle of a sentence. You got full reign to just jump in and ask the questions. All right. Any time. All right, so I plan to bore everybody to death for very few slides, okay? We've got to set the stage a little bit, and then we'll dive into real demos, making stuff work, probably break some stuff. That'll be super fun for everybody. If you don't know who I am, again, Jeremy Moskowitz, Group Policy MVP. I run gpanswers.com. Probably some of you are a member of gpanswers.com, and also founder of PolicyPak software. Sometimes people ask me, hey, where did PolicyPak come from? It came from, I was doing a talk at TechEd one year and someone raised their hand in the back and they said, why doesn't group policy work for stuff that's not in the box for Microsoft? And I was like, I'm gonna get that built. I can't build it myself. I have a computer science degree, but I'm not a coder, but I do know group policy pretty darn well. And with that in mind, what I was able to do is find all the things that group policy doesn't do well and all the things that just like couldn't be done any other way, and round them all up in one place and we give it to you guys. So the good news is you don't have to make any decisions when it comes to making PolicyPak except for one, which is what edition do you want? Now, almost everybody here will almost certainly be using the group policy edition. It also works if you don't like group policy. You want to use SCCM or Altiris or whatever, that's great. We call it the group policy edition, and that's totally fine. We also have the MDM edition if you're flirting with Intune, AirWatch, or MobileIron. And we also have this thing called the Cloud edition, which is great if you're a small shop and you need to deal with multiple customers at once. But let's talk about what PolicyPak is not. We're not a handy collection of ADM files, right? It's not just some bunches of stuff you could probably build yourself because it's programming that we've done here. We're not trying to replace group policy or group policy preferences in the box stuff. We're not trying to replace SCCM, LandDesk, or your old big old management tool. We're not trying to replace MDM like Intune, AirWatch, or MobileIron. And we're not sold separately. So if you like one of the things you see here, and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to buy just the Java Rules Manager. That's great. We don't sell it to you separately like that. That's just not how it works. So you can see you get all the components. And when we have new components, we just give it to you and you're in the club and you're a customer in good standing and you get it. just like that. So here are some of the challenges I see that people have all the time. Well, the first one is about desktop and rolling out big things in the first place, which is you've rolled out your desktop. And you know what? That's great. But now users start to drift from your configuration. So if I just uncheck this checkbox, I can get past the proxy. And why are things asking for upgrades? And if I just uncheck this checkbox, I can get around the site list exceptions. The idea is you need to have a way to layer your settings and decouple that from your actual rollout. So if your rollout is Citrix, if your rollout is desktop, if your rollout is VDI, if your rollout is non-domain join machines, whatever it is, you need a way to decouple your, let's just call it your image or your computer, basically your settings, your applications from the settings. So we have a way to dynamically deliver the heck out of pretty much every application settings: Firefox, Flash, Java, Internet Explorer, Chrome, and so on. So dynamically giving what I like to call your settings of the moment, okay? If you change your mind 2 days from now, what are you gonna do? Go back and rebuild that gold image and no, that's a terrible idea. Instead, flip a switch in group policy and get on with your life and go get a beer. Couldn't be simpler. How about getting out of the local admin right business? Now you might think, well, gosh, I am out of the local admin right business, and that's great if you are, but if you aren't, that's obviously not good. You don't want to have users running with the scissors all the time. That's a terrible idea. So then you remove local admin rights, and then you're in what I like to call the ditch. They still need local admin rights because some application won't run, or they can't install their own printers or fonts, or they can't install a key application like iTunes or UPS Quick Ship or something like that without wrapping it up as a package or something like that. That's terrible. You do not want to be involved in that transaction. Sometimes you want users to have opportunities to do things like an admin, but not actually running with admin rights. So we're going to elevate certain applications and situations during our demo today. Stopping ransomware and other unknown software. This is a great thing. I don't think we're going to have time for this today, so we have this on the website. The idea is that a user goes to a website, downloads a portable app, and oh my gosh, they get Bitcoined. Nobody wants to be the guy who has to explain to their boss what Bitcoin is and how to buy it and so on. Not a good thing. So how do you block unknown software? Again, probably not something we'll get into today, but it's a humongous benefit for you. How do you map what I call the right browser and the right Java for the right website? So I go to this website and it's flipping me out. Well, yeah, because not every browser renders every website perfectly. If you do a Google search for like, why doesn't my website render perfectly in the browser? I did it the other day. It's like 1.3 million. I mean, that's a hard problem to solve. So, you've got 4 browsers now, right? Internet Explorer, Firefox, Chrome, and Edge. How do you open up the right browser for the right website? And also the right Java for the right website. And oh yeah, block naughty websites and maybe turn Java off except for certain websites. So what we can do is do any-to-any browser routing and also mapping particular versions of Java to a particular website. I know you have this problem and we will be demonstrating this today and you're gonna love it. When it comes to rolling out Windows 10, there are a myriad of challenges. One of the biggest ones is managing file associations. You double click on a PDF and it opens in Edge and you're like, what? Is that what we want? I click on an email address and Windows Mail opens and how about this one? You've got reader and writer on the same machine. Now, if you've ever tried to do this with the inbox tools of group policy, you know how this works. You walk up to a machine, you install every freaking application in the world on it, you then export it, and then everybody has to have the exact same settings. That's not great because the next day you change your mind and you go from Acrobat Reader to Pro Reader or WinZip to UltraZip, and then you change your mind. You're gonna go back to the golden image and do this whole process again? Terrible idea. Instead, what if we could just open up the right application instantly, flipping a switch using group policy? So, Webster, do you have any thoughts about that real fast?
Oh man, file type association is just an absolute royal pain in the butt. So if you got something that can help us with that, oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's it. You sound like the Kool-Aid man. Oh yeah. And here's sort of the sister problem, the Windows 10 rollout with regards to start menu. You can have a machine with every freaking application on it, and then you can design the start menu and then export that, and then everybody in the world has to have the same start menu, which is not good because not everyone in the world should get the same start menu. So wouldn't it be better if, like, when you deploy an app, you can actually populate it correctly for the right person at the right time in the Windows 10 start menu? Same thing for the taskbar. And how about removing items like Candy Crush off the start menu? You know, that kind of thing. Nobody likes that sort of stuff. So I'll show you how to get to that when we get there. All right. So the last thing is, one of the other things that we're probably not going to go into today is taking your real on-prem group policy settings and getting them off-prem through your own MDM service. So we're getting kind of famous for this. If you're flirting with MDM land and you want to get group policy settings out there, we can help you do that. Not today's talk, but interesting anyway. We also won't be talking about the idea of ensuring endpoint compliance, but we have a great utility on this called the Group Policy Compliance Reporter. That's another talk for a different day. So these are the suite components. I am not going to go into them in excruciating detail because we will be going into them in detail in our talk today. Again, we kind of got famous in this first area of managing the heck out of application settings and locking them down. The point is that the stuff on the left, the Group Policy Edition, that's sort of your on-prem way. And then if you are using the cloud or MDM, you can also get it deployed that way too. Least Privilege Manager gets you out of the local admin right business. Browser Router maps specific websites, specific browsers. Java Rules Manager will guarantee a particular version of Java to a particular website. File Associations Manager, this is where you can map specific extensions or protocols like PDF or Mail to your applications like Acrobat or Outlook. I'll be showing you that today. The Start menu and Taskbar, again, how can you pin specific Windows 10 apps to groups and also to the taskbar? I'll show you how easy it is to do. And again, what's that I hear you cry? Jeremy, I know you're group policy MVP, but I don't like group policy, you say. No problem, no problem, no problem. If you like the result of what you're going to see here today, if you want to, you can export any of these settings. We'll give you a little utility to wrap it up as an MSI. You can bomb it on the machine using whatever utility you want, like SCCM, Altiris, whatever, or you can chuck it directly on the Citrix server. That works also too. So if you don't want to use group policy, you want to do the not group policy method, that's fine. That's included and free in the Group Policy Edition, okay? And then the Cloud Edition stuff, again, you can use either our cloud service or you can use an MDM service if you have one, all right? We have these three that kind of go together: Admin Template Manager, Preferences Manager, and Security Settings Manager. Those three things are kind of paired up. They help you export your on-prem group policy stuff to then get out the door to your cloud or MDM service. Then we have a couple of new guys on the block. I don't think, Webster, we talked about these before. We have this really nifty one called Scripts Manager, which is great. The idea is you can say, hey, when this condition is true, run this script. And when this condition isn't true anymore, then run this off script. So by way of example, you might want to say, you know, when I'm on this IP range, then kick off this script. When I'm not on this IP range anymore, then do this undo thing. So do something when I'm on this range, do something else when I'm not on this range, which is pretty nifty.
Hey, Jeremy, we got a question for you.
Yeah,
does the Start and Task Manager, does that also work with Windows 7?
No, Windows 7, no, this is that's a Windows 10 only function. The Windows, it's actually reasonably easy to do start menu stuff in Windows 7 with regards to task start menu. But that's the thing. It's super hard in 10, Windows so we 10, built the so we made it way easier. That's the point.
So how do you make that? It seems like every time they come out with an update to Windows 10, they completely screw up the start menu, and everything you've done is gone. So how do you keep up with that?
Yeah, well, the good news is that once you, Mr. Admin, write your wishes down of what you want that start menu to look like, then it's maintained. So that's the good news. So even if if what you're seeing is like, oh, I had 1703 and I've upgraded to 1803 and oh my gosh, everything looks different. Yeah, you're going to find that unless you kind of lay down the law using the Start Screen Manager.
Well, you got a fan here, Sheldon Homer. Says
okay, yeah.
PolicyPak Cloud and the File Association Manager and the Windows 10 Start Menu Manager took a lot of stress away.
Thank you, Sheldon. Your check is in the mail. Just kidding. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Once you start using it, you're like, where's this been my whole life? So let's talk about a bunch of stuff you don't need, okay? You don't need any servers to build or buy or infrastructure or databases, for the love of Pete. Nobody wants another freaking database. No schema updates, no domain mode, no specific Windows server needed, and no specific Windows client needed. Most of what PolicyPak works with is Windows 7 and later. We did note that some components are Windows 10 specific, but by and large, everything you're going to see here works great with Windows 7 and later. For PolicyPak Cloud or MDM, you don't need a real Active Directory. You don't need any servers to install, no SCCM, no RMM tools, no live group policy, and that's it. In other words, you already have all you need. There's absolutely nothing to buy or build. You are ready to rock on day one, and it takes about, I'm not kidding, 120 seconds to get going. What you need to install is this. On your management station, you're going to install a little MSI that increases what you can do in group policy land. Over here on the endpoints, you're going to have to install something that will receive those directives. Well, what is that you're going to install? Or you're going to install the client-side extension, the PolicyPak client-side extension on your domain join machines. Client-side extension, man, that sounds familiar. Yeah, because Microsoft already ships a bunch of those in the box. You already use them. Admin templates, folder redirection, group policy preferences, shortcuts, like you already use it. So PolicyPak is architected the exact same way that Microsoft always wanted you to be able to extend what they're already doing, and we do that. So when you run GP update or run group policy results reports, we are group policy as if Microsoft themselves had shipped it from the factory. Okay, that's the important part. The Cloud Edition, there's a little cloud agent that will then connect to our cloud service and let you download that stuff. And the MDM version is the same version as the Group Policy Edition with a little licensing file. The point is that you can see the restrictions here is that Group Policy only works with domain joined machines, Cloud Edition and MDM Edition work with domain joined or non-domain joined machines, okay? So it's easy enough to do. When you're ready to go, you just install the moving part on the endpoint, and that's all there is to it. Okay. The result is that, your endpoints get your wishes and you're ready to rock. So the philosophy is that we work with what you already have. You've got desktops, laptops, Citrix, you've got any VDI, we work with that. Anything Windows Man, Windows 7 or higher, any MDM flavor, any kind of application type. So basically, it's hard to find something that PolicyPak doesn't work with, including things like the Unidesk acquisition from Citrix with app layering. We just work with every freaking thing, basically. Customers, yep, we got them. Lots of Fed and state agencies. We've got K-12 and higher ed customers. We've got state and local government customers, and we've got just about every other thing on the planet as well. So lots of customers, man, we got them. We won't have time to talk about this today. Maybe this is a good talk for another time. The idea of, did your GPOs actually make it out there? We've got a great utility called the Compliance Reporter. There's a free version and a pay version. We'll get to that another time. So the top benefits review, managing the crap out of your application settings. Remember, decoupling the application and the image from the settings itself, letting you have the settings of the moment. And it's not just about application settings, it's about all these things. Killing local admin rights. If you change your mind and want to give teacher number 7 the ability to install Kid App 6, great, you can make that in just like that. You want to block ransomware and unknownware applications, deliver real group policy through the cloud, map what website to what browser, map what website to what Java, map what extensions open to what apps, pin apps to the Windows 10 start menu and taskbar. We didn't talk about this, but it's just also awesome. Managing Internet Explorer compatibility in enterprise modes. We just take that headache all away. We don't have time for that today. Condense and reduce group policy complexity. So time permitting, we can talk about how to get out of what I like to call the too many freaking GPOs business. So if we've got time, we'll talk about that. And that's all there is to it. So what others say about PolicyPak? Here we go. PolicyPak Cloud just works. We love it. We looked at PolicyPak and said, this is what we need. PolicyPak is the first tool that gave us what we needed to with regards to Firefox. It gives us huge dynamic control. It enables us to say yes as opposed to saying no to everything. I love that quote. That's good, being a IT enabler in your organization. We don't have to babysit all of our deployed applications like we used to. We really reduced our troubleshooting and updating efforts. So there you go. All right, so I've got a little quiz. Let's see if you can remember these things. What's the moving part that needs to be installed on the endpoint? That is the client-side extension, right? The little moving part. PolicyPak works with what kinds of systems? Windows 7 and later. There are 3 versions of PolicyPak. What are they? They're going to be the Cloud Edition, MDM Edition, and the Group Policy Edition. And what's our tagline? Securing your standards, right? We want to make sure that you're secure, you're in charge, not your users, okay? That's what makes the most sense there. Where am I from? I don't know if we mentioned it, but I'm from Philadelphia.
Philadelphia.
And how many pre-configured packs do we have? Do you remember off the top of your head how many we said we had? 80 billion. No, we have 400. There you go. So that's it. What do you think? Did you have any questions about that, or should we get right to it?
There are no questions in the questions window, so I say, man, get on with the demos. Show us this stuff.
Okay, let's do it. All right, let me explain my test lab environment here. So this is my domain controller / group policy station. Now in real life, you probably wouldn't marry your domain controller and your group policy station, although some people do it. It's totally fine. It just makes my demos go a little bit easier and faster here.
Okay, hey, we now have 2 questions for you.
Oh, okay.
All right, so how are you different from FS Logics?
Okay, sure. Yeah, FS Logics and us have a great partnership. We have a good, better together story. In fact, what I can do just to prove out the point real fast is let me show you on the website where you can learn more about how those two things go great together. So if you go to PolicyPak.com, and you can all do this. Whoops, it's funny. That's the browser router thing I want to show you later. If you go to PolicyPak.com. I blew my own demo by showing off something. You can go to integration, and then under integration, there's FS Logics there, and you can see. Let's see, there we go. And FS Logics, you can see all of our better together stories. We have about 6 of them. FS Logics is great about the actual file system. Where their claim to fame is hiding applications and also doing a great job with maintaining user state as a guide roams from machine to machine. We don't do that. We do everything else after that. So once you have a machine and you want to apply settings, we are the settings masters, and those guys are the file system masters. Okay, so I hope that answers that question.
All right, so how are you licensed and what does it cost?
Well, let me jump to the end. It costs only $80 billion. So
per user,
$80 billion per user. So it's very inexpensive. Now, obviously, there's a sliding scale. So the more you get, the cheaper it is per unit, and we're licensed per endpoint. So it's desktops plus laptops plus concurrent terminal server / Citrix connections. Okay, so you add them all up, and then you're ready to go.
But you're going to cover that toward the end.
Nah, if somebody's interested in that, then just reach out and fill out the form on the website, of course, and then we'll be in touch. Because everybody's scenario is a little bit different, so we want to make sure we give you a quote that makes sense. But it's a sliding scale.
Okay.
And that's it. All right. Well, let's jump right into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is managing the heck out of settings. In other words, decoupling your Citrix or your desktop settings from your settings of the moment. So when I click on, say, Firefox here in Citrix land, you can see that it's taking its time, getting it and presenting it from the Citrix server over there. Now, let's say you wanted to change something like your Firefox homepage and also maybe increase the security. Well, what am I talking about here? If you go to Tools, Options here, and if we were to look at the homepage configuration, you can see that it's not set. And if I were to go to Privacy and Security, you can see the Remember Logons and Password for Websites. I actually just came across a video that says, let me show you how you can siphon off all the passwords in clear text off of both Chrome and Firefox. I'm like, that's not good. So would it be great if you can uncheck the checkbox to remember logon passwords for websites and then lock it down so users can't be naughty and work around it? So in order to do this, we'll go to our Citrix OU here. Now, I've already got this demo kind of pre-staged just to make sure I don't make any blunders or anything. So I'm going to link this GPO and click Edit here, but I'm going to show you exactly what I did to get it configured. It's just a garden variety group policy object, and you can see it's linked into, or we hook directly into the PolicyPak editor you know and love. So if you already use a tool like AGPM or GPO admin or something like that, we work perfectly with that. And you can see we hook right into the group policy universe. So here's Application Settings Manager. And all you do, you already know how to use it. You just right click, New Application, and boom, set your policy just like this. So I've got one for Firefox already set up right here. And actually, you know what? I've changed my mind. I decided I don't want to use this pre-configured one. That's right. I've decided. I'm changing my mind. Let's do it. Let's change it up. Why not? Why don't we create a new? How about different Firefox home pages per machine type? Oh yeah, let's go off the grid. So what are we talking about here? So I can't. First of all, I got to spell different right. How about if I were to go to computer side PolicyPak here, go to Application Settings Manager, and let me right-click New Application and go to Firefox 23 and later. But you know what? This would apply to absolutely every computer, including my Citrix machine and my real desktops. So why don't I set my homepage to www.citrix.com, and I want to lock it down, right-click and lock it down, and go to Security and uncheck Remember Password for Sites, and also lock it down. But you know what? I only want this particular homepage to exist when what we're going to do is called item level targeting filters. So Webster, do you remember my training class where when you took my group policy training class, we talked about group policy?
Yep, January 2008.
There you go. And I bet that served you really well, right?
Oh,
So
yeah. I've still got the books.
there you go. So what we're going to say is do this set of conditions when the terminal session is any. In other words, when I'm hitting a Citrix box, I want it to be citrix.com. And let me go ahead and click out of here and click OK. And whoops. Go ahead and see, I can't click OK. Oh, there's the OK button right there. And then what I'll also do is I want to create another entry, but this entry, I want to make it so that it goes to some other website. Like, what is it? Is it my CUCG? I want to make sure I got it spelled right and don't blow it because that would be very embarrassing.
mycucg.org.
mycucg.org, yes. I'm going to copy and paste it so I really don't screw it up. All right, there we go. And paste it. All right. And we'll right click, we'll lock this puppy down. And we'll also do that same idea here where we'll uncheck the password for sites and we'll lock that puppy down too. But you know what? We don't want to do this for when we're on a Citrix box. We want to switch this over. We want to change this for when we are on a not Citrix box. So when the terminal session is not any. Aha, see what we're doing there? So when we're not on Citrix box. So we have this one GPO with these multiple settings in it. So in order to actually see this take effect, we'll run GPO update / force over here on the Citrix box first, because we're doing it on the computer side. If we're doing it on user side, it would actually take effect pretty fast. Now I'll do the same thing over here. So again, what I'm hoping will happen is that when I run Firefox on my real machine, I'm going to go to mycucg.org. When I go run it on the Citrix box, it's going to go to citrix.com. So let's go ahead and see if that decides to take effect. So here's the real Mozilla Firefox on the real machine, and boom, I can see it's already trying to go to mycucg.org. Excellent. And then if we go to Tools, Options here, you can see it's locked down, and if I go to Security, we've unchecked Remember Logon for Sites, just what we said to do. And if we were to close this out and now run the Citrix distributed version of Firefox, because we said, hey, do something special when we're on a terminal session, what should we get? If all goes perfectly well, boom, citrix.com, just the way we would expect, and we'll go into here, go to Tools, Options here. We'll see that it's delivered, locked down, go to Privacy and Security, and uncheck Remember Logons and Password for websites.
Nice.
Right? So do you like this idea of decoupling the settings from the delivery mechanism? You think that is something administrators should pay attention to?
I do. Because one of the things that I hear people asking for is, yeah, I've got group policy that will do these things, but what I really want to be able to do is control settings in some of the applications. I don't want users being able to select this option, or I only want them to be able to select this option if they're not in a, terminal server session, RDS, XenApp session.
Yep. Yeah, and you could also do it based on groups, computer name, IP address, any number of things. So again, it comes down to the settings of the moment. And if you change your mind, you want to change the home page to some emergency thing or whatever, it's good to have the fire extinguisher out there right now. So great, I'm glad you like it. I like it too. We have about 400 or 500 pre-configured packs ready to go for applications you know and love. Let's continue down the road. In fact, let's bring Firefox back up again here in Citrix land. I guess I didn't need to close it. And then let's talk about a user who's having both a good day and a bad day simultaneously, right? So let's say you've got this user here and he's in Firefox land and he's at citrix.com and he decides he wants to go to a website that doesn't render well in Firefox. Let's pretend that PolicyPak doesn't render very well in Firefox land. Watch this, Webster. I think you're going to flip over it when I do this. So here I am. I'm going to type in www.polycypak.com, but we know that it doesn't render perfectly in Firefox. Watch the birdie. We're going to click on the tab. We close the wrong browser. We open up the right browser, And this is the Citrix version of Internet Explorer. This is not the local version. This is the Citrix version of that same website. We routed the user from the wrong browser over to the right browser. Let me show you another example. Here I am in Internet Explorer. Let's say I want to say, you know what, everything in Google land, that renders best in Chrome. So I go to google.com, watch the birdie. We close the wrong tab. Oop, did I not click it right? All right, yep, click the wrong tab here. Here we go. And we'll open up the right browser just like this. So we're routing any browser to any other browser, either in Citrix land or on your real machine. Just hold on, guess where I'm going with this, including Edge. So if you're in the Edge browser and you decide, oh, I'm in Edge and you know what, the application I really need to be guaranteeing my users to be using is Firefox or Chrome, you can do that. You want to go from Chrome to Edge, Edge Internet Explorer to Firefox, any to any browser, we can do that. What do you think, Webster?
Well, all right. So you've got, say something works only in, say, Firefox.
Yep.
And I type that URL in Chrome, and you want to go to Firefox, but I don't have Firefox installed. Now
what are we going to do? Yeah. So in other words, if we make a route to a browser that doesn't exist, what are we going to do? Well, we'll assume that machine has Internet Explorer, and we'll fall backward to use Internet Explorer if the route doesn't exist.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
So no, it's not going to crash. They're not going to get a big ugly error message. You're going to do your best to get into Internet Explorer and attempt to render the website.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And this demo I pre-configured because, not that it takes a long time to do. I just kind of wanted to make sure that it was there. Let me show you how quick and easy it is to make a route though. So if I go to browser router here, again, you can do this on either user side or computer side. So you can say wherever Johnny goes, Johnny gets these routes. Or you could say on this collection of Citrix machines, shop floor machines, free seating machines, or all these laptops, everybody gets these routes. Like you can decide on the user side or the computer side. It's super easy. Just right click, add a new policy. And if you wanted to do like, rule, 8, 9, 10, whatever, this part doesn't matter. This is where the magic happens. You can put a URL or a wildcard in like star, NBC or something like that, and you want to guarantee that puppy always goes to Chrome, boom, you've done that. You've made that rule. It's as simple as that. And the other thing that I didn't really talk about too much in the slide deck, but it's worth mentioning here, you could do like, route test to Microsoft to IE, and if you set a specific URL like HTTP, or actually you can work with this, Microsoft.com, and you set the browser mode, okay? If you've ever tried to deal with enterprise browser modes, I know, right? They've got this little crappy application that one dude needs to be in charge of. It's one flat list. You have to keep going back. Once you modify it, you then have to somehow magically tell group policy that it's been updated, and then maybe sometimes it'll work perfectly. In our world, we've actually wrestled that problem to the ground. You just say, oh, the website is this, the browser is Internet Explorer, set the browser mode to this, and you're good to go. I think I already have this policy set here. I don't, but that's the whole point, is that it's super easy to do, couldn't be any easier, and you're ready to rock just like that.
Hey, I see one thing in there that's good. You got the block option. So if I see users, say like I'm using a monitoring product like my favorite, Control Up, and I see a user on a XenApp server going to ESPN.com and sucking up all the RAM on a XenApp server, I can actually, without having to get the network team involved, I can actually use this and say, hey, for now, block ESPN.com.
Exactly right. I mean, we don't block it at like the port level or whatever, but we do block it inside the browser. I mean, for like the casual standard user, yep, that's exactly right. Because we live at the browser level here, and we can just say, oh, you try to go to Facebook, hey, you ain't getting no Facebook time. That's exactly it. You nailed it. Pretty nifty, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's continue down the road. Let's talk about a similar problem, which is managing the heck out of Java, right? We all know, I bet you see this a lot. How many times have you seen where somebody has to stand up a whole Citrix server for the sole purpose so that you can say, hey, when you're ready to use your time card app, click on this thing, go to your time card app, which in my case, I'm going to pretend that's java.com, and it has to use a particular version of Java that exists. Whoops, that has to exist on the freaking Citrix server. How many times have you seen that?
Yeah.
A lot, right?
Yep.
So that's the thing. You can either do it here. You can either set the correct version of Java here inside the Citrix server itself here, but I'm going to do it on the computer level because I want you to have less to manage here. Okay. So what I'm going to do is show you what this looks like here on my real machine. I'm going to go to Internet Explorer here on my real machine. And I'm also going to show you how many versions of Java I have on my real machine to explain why it lets you do this. So if I were to go to here and I can zoom in and show you, I've got 751, 825, 8171, and good old 624. Why does Java let you put multiple things on the machine at the same time? Because of what I'm about to show you. If you were to click on java.com, do I have Java? It's going to tell you the latest version of Java that's on that machine, which, you know what, doesn't meet the goal. This is why you have to set up a particular version, like a whole server just for Citrix, just for this thing. I'm going to show you how you can marry a particular version of Java to a particular website. And if you go to this website here, it's going to actually bomb out because it's not digitally signed. Check this out. See, hey, I can't help you out at all because you're not part of the Java site exceptions list. Okay, so what we'll do is I'll close this out. I'll go to my sales team and I'll go to PPJRM GPO. I'll create a Java Rules Manager group policy object. And what I'm going to do is go to the computer side, go to PolicyPak, go to the Java Rules Manager here, right click, add a new policy. And the rule name, again, doesn't really matter. This is where it counts. So if I give it HTTPS java.com. Let me make sure there's no www there because if there is, it won't match. Okay, so this is www.java.com, so I have to get that right. So that's, oops, put that there. Okay, www.java.com. Yep, and I want to run a specific version that's on my machine. I just showed you what versions. So I'm going to marry it to specifically 751. That's some version I happen to have on the machine right there. What's that I hear you cry? You don't know what version you have as an exact match? No problem. You can use the latest in that family if you were unclear. But I'm going to make it an exact match just to be on the safe side. 751 exact. Boom. The next rule I'm going to make, I'll add a new policy here. I'll call this rule 2, and I will say HTTPS javatester.org. This one has no www. Let's make sure. javatester.org, no www. And now I want to make this one run a different version entirely, but it has to exist on my machine. We won't magically like install it for you or something. So we'll do 825, which is already on the machine. 825, boom. And again, everything has item level targeting. If you wanted some people to get this as a match and other people not to get this, it's super easy to do. And that's it. We've made our 2 rules. I'm ready to go. Let me close this out for a second here. I'll then run GP update to get the latest settings here. And now, instead of having to spin up a whole new server just to tell people to use their time card or specialty app, you can get out of that business. You're allowed to install multiple versions of Java on the endpoint for this reason, and it works perfectly. You have the old version of Java for compatibility, and you have the new version for security because we're making maps. So if we go to java.com here, wants to cooperate here. If we go to java.com here, do I have Java? Before, it told us we had the latest version of Java, but now, if all goes well, what do we see? Boom, 751. We married it to the right version for the application. And this one, it threw an error before. And now what do we get? We get hopefully no error, and we get, boom, 825, just like that. So on the desktop or on Citrix, this is a huge benefit for you, guaranteeing and marrying a particular website to a particular version of Java. How many times have you seen this?
Yeah. Hey, we got a question.
Okay.
Does PolicyPak increase GPO processing time on the computer or user side in a Citrix environment?
No, hardly at all, if any, because what's happening is that group policy runs in the background, so it doesn't really take up any juice. So you're good to go.
Okay.
And if I'm wrong or you think I'm lying, the good news is that everything in group policy land is articulated, by which I mean, in fact, the control up guys, I have no real relationship with them other than I know you use them too. They have a great group policy, how long does it take to run stuff script, and you're welcome to use that, and because we run in the group policy engine, and we will articulate correctly how many milliseconds each of our components takes to run. So if you think I'm full of it, I can't be, because you can check it out yourself.
Yep.
Was there a second question in there too?
Nope. That's it. We got a thing from remark from Jeff. I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Zeno.
Okay.
He really likes this Java stuff because he said that they faced this challenge with IP KVM. Oh yeah, IP based KVM
switches. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to marry, and that's the thing. Java. You could say Java's going away, but your old stuff isn't going away, right?
Yeah.
It's like they're like cockroaches, man. They just live forever.
Yeah.
Well, let's continue down the road. Let's talk about my next most important thing, which I think is a big security concern, which is getting out of the local admin right business. Now, even if you have no more admin rights, that's fine, but that means you still can't do things that you used to be able to do yesterday. Here's an application that won't run without admin rights. It happens to be Procmon, but we all have these applications. It could be QuickBooks, it could be some scientific app or whatever, and it just will not run without admin rights. Or you try to go to, say, Device Manager, and you're told, hey, man, I can't help you. You're a standard user, so you can't update your own printers or fonts or device drivers. Man, what a huge drag. Or you try to install an application like PowerPoint Viewer, and you're not allowed to do that. PowerPoint Viewer, come on, we know that's okay. Or try to install Skype setup.msi, and you can click next and click next, and oh man, you're not an admin, so you get smacked down. So it's great. Get out of the local admin right business, but now you have to get out of the ditch. And that is where our least privilege manager piece comes in. So let me go ahead and create PolicyPak LPM GPO Demo 1. So what we're going to do is we're going to create some group policy settings using PolicyPak least privilege manager to elevate the situations that are required for this user to continue to do the job that they used to do yesterday when they were an admin. So we'll just do one by one. I'll create a new executable policy. I'm then going to pick, say, the fingerprint, the hash value of the application I want to run, which is Procmon, and I want to install, I want to let that run with elevated privileges. So let Procmon run elevated. There we go, just Procmon. I don't want to give the user freaking admin rights. That's a terrible idea. I want Procmon to run as an admin. So new control panel applet here. What I want to do here is I want to say, hey, why don't we let you get into Device Manager? Before, you were a standard user. Now, you'll run it with elevated privileges. So let Device Manager run. And then the last thing I want to do is let me create a new Windows installer policy. And I'm going to say, hey, look, if it's signed by the Skype guys, then it's probably okay to install. Like I'm okay with applications that are signed by Apple. I'm okay with applications that are signed by UPS for quick ship. Like I don't need to be involved in every transaction and create a package just for them. Go ahead and let them install their own Skype setup on their own. I don't need to be involved in that. I want to run this MSI installer with elevated privileges. So let Skype install run as admin. Boom. And just like that, we'll go back over to our endpoint machine here. We'll run GP update. We'll get the latest settings, and then we'll see each of the puppies kick off one by one. I'll start off with Procmon that threw a UAC prompt in our face. I'll continue onward with the Device Manager, and I'll finish up with Skype setup. All right, so here's Procmon. 10 seconds ago, it didn't run because we didn't have, well, we still don't have admin rights, but now we're elevating the application. Boom, it runs like that. Then if we were to go to Device Manager, no more prompt. Boom, just like that. And if we were to go to Skype setup here, before we got prompted, we got halted at like the fourth checkbox. Let's see, check. Boom, here's the install, no more UAC prompt. Next, and Skype will continue to install perfectly the way we would expect. Getting out of the ditch of removing local admin rights. It's a great idea to remove local admin rights, but then when you do that, you're in the ditch. Yeah.
So the question is, so you need the executables in order to set these up. Obviously, if you don't have the executable or the MSIs, you don't have anything to point to get the signatures and thumbprints and all that. So
Yeah.
you have to have the executables and installers.
Yeah, so right. So in other words, I think your question is more like, what if on the management station you don't have the same stuff as Sally out in the field? Is that more like what your question is?
I guess it's a question from Derek. Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, that's
And
what he
so
says. Yes.
yeah, and so that's a great thing, and we have a solution for that. And it's here in the download that we give you. It's in the extras folder, and it's this thing called the it is the auto rules generator tool. So for each of the things that we're doing here, we have a little helper utility to help you figure out what you're doing out there and create rules so you don't have to have the exact same thing over here. Does that make sense? We have one for least privilege manager, one we're about to talk about file associations manager, another one for start screen and taskbar manager. So it's helpful if you have access to it, but if you don't, we give you a little helper utility where you can walk up to Sally's machine, suck out the brains, and then make policies out of it.
Okay, let me ask you a security question. Once I'm running an application elevated, is there a chance that I could escape that elevated application, or some kind of dialog box or prompt comes up and I could kind of bypass the elevation and get to a command prompt or file explorer or something?
Yes, so you do need to, and that's why we expose, let me show you, this idea called apply or do not apply to child processes. Aha. So for instance, we do not recommend that you would, for instance, say, let regedit.exe run with elevated permissions. That's a terrible idea, right?
Yeah.
Because then that guy can do everything. And if you apply it to child processes, then he can escape from that. But you have to know your application, know if it's possible. And if it is possible, you can simply uncheck apply to child processes, and then they can't escape out of that initial process.
All right.
Okay. So any other questions about least privilege and local admin rights?
I was asking Adam Walker asked that question. I was just asking him, did you answer his concerns? That's it for the, yes, Adam said you answered his question.
Super duper. All right, live to serve. All right, well, let's continue onward and talk about, Webster and I had a little pre-chat before this, and I think it's safe to say Webster loves this part, which is, and we've all seen this, you go through the motion to install Acrobat Reader, and for the love of Pete, Acrobat Reader doesn't become the PDF reader afterward. What? And there's a reason for this, and you can look it up. It's called application extension clickjacking or hijacking, because grandma downloaded blow me up or supposedly real app.exe, and then it hijacks PDF or whatever extension it is. So they made it so that you have to programmatically poke the bear in the operating system, or the user. This thing is really a Windows system app. I know it doesn't seem like it, but this is really a system app thing. And that means you'd have to go into the system itself and then configure yourself. Basically, they made it so that the user has to do this thing and an application can't do it. So the point is that this used to be drop dead easy in Windows 7, and starting in Windows 8.1 and continuing on through Windows 10, it's super freaking difficult. And we try to wrap it back and make it super easy. So anyway, this is a PDF that opens in Edge. Here's a movie file that opens in the Windows Movie Player program. Okay, a little 2-second video of some Legos or whatever that is. And then how about you double click on a mail to, and you click that oh my gosh, we get the Windows internal mail thing. What the heck? We don't want any of that. So what I'm going to do is show you how to wrestle this to the ground in 2 seconds here. What we'll do is we'll go to our sales computers, and we'll go to, say, PPFAM Demo GPO. So we'll create a group policy object for file associations. Okay, file associations. And again, you might have seen how to do this in the box. You have to take your whole machine. You have to then export the settings and and trim the XML. It's a huge mega pain in the tush.
Then it's static.
And then that's it. You're fixed forever with the same ideas. Exactly right. So let's go ahead and not only do it once, we could also change our mind if we want to. So let's add a new policy first. And this is easy. Just type PDF here, and I'll type PDF here. And this is now saying, hey man, on your machine, the machine I'm on right now, what things say they can run PDFs? Well, on this machine, I have Acrobat Reader. You might say, hey, why don't I see Edge on this list? Because this is a server machine. There is no Edge on this machine. So there we go. I've just associated PDF with Acrobat Reader. But you know what? What about an application like VLC Media Player that has 136 things, right?
Yeah.
So what I'll do, we have this special way to add policies for Product Wizard. I'll then say, yeah, pick any application you want on this machine or your friend's machine. So we'll pick VLC Media Player here. And there are all the things VLC Media Player can do, MP3, MP4, WAV, and so on. I'll click all these guys in one checkbox, click Next. We'll make a little basket for you. And there it is. And in the little basket is all the freaking settings for that application, just like that.
Yeah,
So
iTunes is the same way.
iTunes is the same way, all that stuff. And if you decide you want to add a new policy for things like mail to rule, and I'll go to network protocol, and this can be mail to. And when I click on select program, these are the things that claim it can do mail. I have Eudora, I have Chrome, I've got this thing, and I've got Clause Mail. So I'm going to use Clause Mail as my Outlook representative. I don't really have Outlook. I'm going to use Clause Mail. So there we go. I've made my rules. I'm going to go to my endpoint here. I'm going to run GP update. Now this particular setting is a little bit different than the others. You have to get the GPO first, then you have to log off, then you have to log on, then the magic happens. That's the deal with this one. This isn't our physics. This is the physics that Microsoft provides in the box, and there's just not a lot we can do about it right now. Maybe in the future, Let's take a look. Let's make sure I actually got the group policy first before I log off and log back on. Let's take a look. So on the computer side, I got the file associations one. Okay, so I'm reasonably confident this is going to work the way I expect. So let me go ahead and sign out here. Remember the icons, and then as soon as I sign back in here, okay, go ahead and sign back in. And don't take your eye off the off that locale. Boom, that's it, you did it. You double click PDF, you have the right Acrobat Reader, whatever it is, or even better, if you've got both reader and writer on the machine, you can make PolicyPak detect the thing you want and then make the final associations. So if you have reader and writer on the machine and you want the people who have writer to have this and people who have reader to have, that's easy to do, and we have a great video on how to do that. You want to click on this guy and you get VLC Media Player. Well, yes, you certainly do. And you click on this guy for to open up a mail application. You click this guy, and what happens? You get your special mailer, which for mine is Clause Mail, just like that. I mean, this would take you your entire Wednesday to achieve, and then if you changed your mind, it would take your entire Thursday. I mean, this is not the way that you should be thinking about it. You should be thinking about the settings of the moment. Don't you agree?
Yep. Well, Jeremy, we are coming to a close. I want to see the start screen test manager stuff. That's what I want to see.
Me too. I love it. So yeah, so let's get right to it, and we'll end with that. Let's say you got two methods, and a couple things I want to show you here. And I got a special treat for our Citrix friends here, because you know that this Citrix folder or taking a look at the Citrix app in here is maybe not the best way to present stuff for your users. I just want to make sure that the applications are still running since I logged off and logged back on. Right? There's got to be a better way to present these things to the user, and that would be on the Windows 10 start screen. Now, in order to get this to go, because I figured we'd be running out of time a little bit on this, I created a start screen one right here. But let me walk you through exactly how it works here. What I wanted to do was I wanted to say, hey man, you might have some applications that live in Citrix land and you want to put them for realsies on your real Windows 10 start screen for your normal desktops. So for your normal desktops, we're going to have a group. We're going to create a group called Citrix XenApp Apps, and then force in Citrix on Chrome, Firefox, Chrome on Citrix, Firefox on Citrix, and full Citrix desktop. And then when you're, this is 400 level stuff here, then when you're inside a Citrix desktop itself, actually jam in a different set of things. Let me go over to my machine here. What I'll do is I will run GP update here, and we can watch this happen in real time. If we go to GP update here, watch this. I'll go ahead and move that out of the way, click in here. Remember, I pre-staged this to make this go a little faster just so we would have time. And boom, just like that, we have our Citrix XenApp apps that are right here. And if I were to click on, say, Chrome, provided I am still connected, I might, yep, here we go. And that's it. I mean, Webster, is this a better way to present application icons to for your published apps, or what?
Yeah, I like that. Love it.
And then let's go into the desktop here. And we said, look, when you're inside a Citrix full VDI session, I want you to get a different start menu experience. Check this out. So now in here, we said nuke everything and only show these two icons. And again, this is coming directly from the Citrix machine. And that's it. So you're able to nuke the stuff Microsoft provides or anything the user might have done earlier, put your own groups in there, and put in real apps or Citrix apps.
Wait a minute. You mean I don't have to run all these PowerShell scripts to uninstall all of this pre-installed stuff and block all this stuff? I don't have to spend hours doing that stuff?
I mean, you can if you want to. I mean, like, here's
the thing. What about my billable time as a consultant, man?
Well, then you should definitely keep doing it then. But here's, and in fairness, you know, we have a script that will help you with that if you want to use our thing called PolicyPak scripts to deliver that setting as well. But the point is that you're absolutely right. You shouldn't need to go through the motion and uninstall them. You can just make them not be present in their face. So they're there, they're underneath the hood, they're in this, like in the A to Z column stuff, but you can just get rid of it from the start menu and ostensibly achieve the exact same kind of goal. So that's up to you. If you want to still go through the motion, we will let you achieve that. We have a component called PolicyPak scripts and a script that will do that. But if you want to instead just hide those applications and leave them in this A to Z list, that's fine, and make a correct start menu based on the opportunities that people need, not, you know, whatever Microsoft wants versus what the user wants. And these groups are all
go
locked.
Back to the server one.
Okay.
I got a feature request for you.
Okay. This guy, this one?
That add account. Citrix removed the ability from their group policy stuff to stop that stupid thing from coming up. You used to be able to set a group policy and to prevent that from showing up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do the do not show, but that's only for me. That's not for the next user. I want to stop that for all users. And
well, I
Citrix
bet we
remove the ability to do that.
Well, I bet if you taught me where it lived, we can figure out a group policy or PolicyPak way to enable that. I bet you almost assuredly we could do that.
Good. That's a pain. I hate that.
Well, let's give people an opportunity to get in touch with us, right? So let me show you the best possible way for you to get in touch with us, which is if you go to, let me give you a couple ways to actually.
Yeah, we also got people saying, yes, we need to stop that receiver pop-up.
Fair enough. Well, let me go ahead and actually open up Internet Explorer here. Well, actually, Browser Router is going to kick in. So if I go to PolicyPak.com, it's going to open up in browser in Internet Explorer. So the point is that I want people, if you want to get started on a trial, okay, I want you to get started on a trial too. There's a couple ways you can do it. The best way, click on Contact Us. Don't wait till like, no, I'll do this in a week or two. Don't worry about it. Our trials are very generous. You can try it out for free pretty much as long as you want. I mean, they're supposed to be 30 days, but if you need longer than that, but let's get on each other's radar. So if you need help from me or someone else on my team to help you get started, just click on Contact Us, click on the Group Policy Edition, say, hey, saw it during the webinar today or whatever. We'll be in touch, and then if you need a little delay, that's fine. But if you're ready to get started, you should get started right away too. And then you'll have someone like me or someone else on my team to help you get started right away. If you want to get to learn even more demonstrations, more like some overlapping demos, but even more demos, you can come to the 1-hour webinar. We do it every day, and then after that, we're off to the races. And of course, we'll hand over the bits, and you're ready to go. So contact us or the webinar download. That's the best first step.
Good. All right. That was awesome, Jeremy. Thank you.
Thanks.
You really have a good product. That product really needs, that is such a useful product in the Citrix world. Or actually in the server application desktop virtualization world, regardless of the vendor or product that you use for those technologies.
Yeah, we like to say if you've got Windows, you need us.
Yeah.
So we couldn't agree more. Well, I think that's it. If Stephanie is still with us, she could wrap it up. Or if not, then I guess we could say goodbye to all of our friends and say thanks for joining.
I am right here. Let me grab the screen back really quickly. I just have one closing slide. All right, can you see that?
I sure do.
Yep.
I always like to double check. So thank you. Thank you, Jeremy. Thanks, Webster. That was awesome and entertaining. And just a reminder to everyone out there, you need to come and visit us at mycugc.org. I put a link to a forum thread in the chat window for you. If you have more questions about what you saw today or just want to get in touch with Jeremy, visit that forum thread and ask away, and I'll make sure he sees it. Also, I want to make sure you guys follow us on Twitter at mycugc. That's where we'll announce the winner of the Amazon gift card. If you opted in at registration, we will be randomly selecting a winner after the webinar, and we'll put that out on Twitter and in that forum thread as well. And finally, just a couple more things. I put a survey link in the chat window for you. We'd like to get your feedback, so it takes just a couple minutes, and it's anonymous, and it's just for us. So please fill that out for us. And finally, this session was recorded, and you will receive an email with a link to the recording tomorrow in case you came in late or you need to go back and revisit something. And that is it. I want to thank you all for your time today, and just thank you again, Webster and Jeremy. It was great, and hope to see you guys around at mycugc.org again soon.
Thanks again for everything, both of you. You guys get a big hug from me.
Awesome. All right, everybody, have a great afternoon, and we'll see you all later. Bye.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.